welcome! I'm Jade of Jaded Reader, and today I am highly caffeinated and going over books that I don't think get enough credit from me. These are my 4-star books that were not quite 5-star, so they don't get brought up a lot when I'm giving recommendations, but still very much so should get their due, as they're absolutely fantastic, and the entire reason they're not brought up is on me, not them. So I'm lucky to have all of them physically right now with me, and if you've been watching my channel lately, you know what a feat that is. A lot of my books are packed up, but not these today, and I am really excited to talk about them. First up on my list is Kiersten White's Guinevere's Deception. This was a very good Arthurian legend book that has a couple gender-bent characters as well as a fresh take on one of my favorite mythos legends of all time, King Arthur. I really got some unexpected moments in this book, and because King Arthur's legends are so based off of almost fan fiction, it's almost a crowdsourced material where everyone builds off the next. It had some moments for me that satisfied my own canons, and so it was fun to see some of these same story tropes put into a fresh setting. I really want to get to the second one, which I believe is the Camelot Betrayal. Let me just say, the Guinevere Deception, I wasn't sure what I was going into when I started this book. I wasn't sure if Guinevere was going to be evil. I wasn't sure what exactly was going to be happening and what her deception was, but I can say what her deception was actually really great. I liked the concept, and it's explained fairly quickly so that you have a better idea of what's going on, and if you're super familiar with Arthurian legend, you know which character this Guinevere actually is and who Kiersten White has blended her with. This was a lot of fun. It has queer representation, and I found myself engaged in the plot as if it was a brand new story. I can also say, while I'm pretty terrible at guessing twists, this one was especially bad for me because this character, I will not say who it is, but this character is almost always bad and almost always gets me to believe in them and then messes me up. It happened in this book again. I was impressed with the delivery and how it went through. I should have known better, but it was still a fun ride thinking that this was going to be any different, and I found myself surprised in Arthurian legend with one of the most classic Arthurian legend tropes. That is a really impressive feat. I read a lot of Arthurian legend. This is definitely on my list of recommendations, and I really need to pick up the second one in the series. Also, since it's slipping out anyway, can I just say the undercover is so cool. I love that. I love secret covers, and this one is both really simple and stunning. On the topic of twists and me not being able to guess them, I know I just admitted to sucking at guessing the twist, but I don't think even if I was good at guessing, I would have guessed the twist in Alessian Atlantis by Natalie Lane. This is a middle grade book that did not get its time to shine on my channel because I absolutely loved and adored it. I was given a finished copy by the author, read it, loved it, enjoyed it. I even gave it 4 stars on my Goodreads, and then all of my life and social crap happened, including my house flooding. It was flooding while I was reading an underwater tale. It was a real weird time for me. So I didn't get to give it the time it needed, but I'm giving it to it now. Alessia is a character I really enjoyed. She is bursting with emotions and often has these outbursts in class. This book is a lesson on both friendships and empathy. I loved the subtle conversations it was having on class, and it being in a middle grade, these are all really important topics that definitely need to be talked about and are done really well in this book. Our main protagonist, while having one of these outbursts, is actually attacked by some sort of frog swamp monster and dragged into the sea, where she finds out she might have some lineage and some common ties, as her father may have come from there. The mystery is sprawling. I almost needed a breath in between. You just are constantly wanting to know what is going on while also enjoying the adventure of what is going on currently. It was just a really good time. I highly recommend it if you are wanting to pick up a middle grade book and just have fun. This is fun, as well as you not guessing the twist at the end. And I know that's coming from someone who just said that they never guessed the twist, but I don't think you'll guess this one either, and you'll just have to read it and find out and prove me wrong. Then I have Daughters of Henri by Renny K. Omayo. Okay, so I have brought this book up on my channel a few times, but it's so good that it's still on the list of books I do not bring up enough, because past its gorgeous cover, I can say this is also just a really good book, and I cannot wait for the next in the series. I am so behind on sequels. That should be a video all in its own. But Daughters of Henri follows 2 sisters who are separated at birth, as twin sisters often are in fantasy. We have a sister who is being raised in the palace and a sister who is being raised in the village. The problem comes in when they should not have actually survived a cleansing of twin sisters, as there was a prophecy said that twin sisters would overthrow the Emperor King, who is known to be a savior of the people. So in order to protect the king, it is said that all twins must not survive. Prophecy begins to unfold when one of the sisters has to journey to the palace and another sister starts to unravel some political intrigue that she maybe should not have come across. These sisters had very differing personalities. You could tell them apart page by page. Apart from the stellar plot and fleshed out characters though, I have to just say the atmosphere was beautiful. It's a really lush, beautiful place. There's a forest in there that I especially adore, and overall just the atmosphere combined with the characters and plot made this so much fun to read. I wish I talked about it more, and I don't know why I haven't, but I'm talking about it now, and you should definitely be picking this one up. Then I have Wicked Fox by Kat Cho. I'm not even quite entirely sure why it wasn't a 5-star. I'm kind of confused when I look back at my notes, and the feelings I have about it make me feel like it must have been like a 4.5 that I didn't properly dictate, or that it's a 5 and I was just out of my mind. I'm not sure. All I can say is Wicked Fox is one of my least represented and most loved books on my shelves for sure. I say shelves, these aren't my shelves. None of the shelves you've seen lately are my shelves. We're working on it. Point being, out of all of the books I own, this is probably my most underrated as far as me speaking on it because of how much I love it. Wicked Fox follows a Gummyo and her mother, which is a fox spirit, who are living in Seoul, Korea in disguise. The only way that these fox spirits, Gummyo, can survive is by feasting on men's souls. Much like a succubi or vampire or kitsune and other cultures, these Gummyo definitely need to survive off of mortal beings to keep their immortality. But our main character, Miyoung, has a heart of gold and she refuses to do so. She is constantly on the verge of collapse and will only feed on male souls when she absolutely has to. And even then, she only picks criminals and lowlifes, people who mean others harm. Her life is going as such until she stumbles across a boy who she has to save from a goblin, and they end up having their lives or souls intertwined. And the two of them have to work together to try and repair her bead, which is a piece of her soul. But unknowing to her love interest, having this bead actually lends the person control over Miyoung, and so the plot thickens as things get complicated. This was just really well written, had a lot of conversations about mother-daughter relationships. Every character was blended and well conceptualized, and the romance was a lot of fun. I just loved this entire world and what it was doing, and I really need to pick up the second book, but I definitely need to mention it here, and I also need to think about possibly giving it a reread and deciding if it should be on a 5-star list instead of a 4. Sorry, August is killing me. So for this last one, I've definitely peeled off a layer here. The last book I'd like to talk about has been behind me this entire time. This is the Fairy Loot edition of Bonecryer's Moon by Catherine Purdy. It has gorgeous, sparkly leaf green edges, and Bonecryer's Moon ended up being a lot more fun than I expected it to be. I actually went into this thinking it was going to be a 3-star read, but the picture was really pretty and I wasn't reading really anything else. This was definitely read during a slump where I was just seeing if I could read something and picked this book up. I loved it. Not only was the romance fantastic, but the friendship sisterhood that is in this book, their camaraderie and loyalty is like unparalleled. They have such a good relationship, and even when it's challenged, they rise up to the occasion. I felt confident and was rooting for their sisterhood in ways that I wasn't even rooting for the romance. So what is this book about? Bonecryer's Moon is about a coven of witches or sirens, bonecryers, what are they? What do they do? They are in a matriarchal society of bone criers who are somewhat like sirens and must use a bone flute on a bridge in order to summon their true love, and they are allowed to either kill their true love on the spot right there, or they can spend up to a year with them and kill them the following year. The reason why they're doing this is because they are not just sirens, but but they also are farriers for the dead, and the only way they can gain their power to ferry souls across to the underworld or afterlife is by gaining that energy. So without them sacrificing their true loves, the souls that pass in the area will overrun and destroy everyone, including possibly their true loves. Ultimately, a bind and sacrifice that ends up coming to a head when our main love interest Bastian actually does his research, finds out about the Bone Criers, and instead of one of our characters, Sabine, meeting her true love on the bridge, she is met with an assassin claiming revenge for his fallen father. The intricacies in the plotline really led me to not know which side to be rooting for at any point in time. The reason why this was a 4-star for me ended up being because the world never really felt fully fleshed out. I felt like I couldn't see the villages or the towns or the kingdom. Instead, I was kind of stuck with just like this idea of like a medieval village, and inside of that, a really great story with fantastic characters. And I have to say, I'm a little tainted by the second book in this series. The first time I read a sequel, immediately after the first, I end up being disappointed, and I actually DNF'd Bone Crier's Dawn because at about the 30% mark, I was bored, and I don't know how that happened. I really don't, because how this story leaves off, you have to read the next one. I really wanted to read the next one. I was on the precipice of ending my slump, and this was going to be my savior. And it was, until I started the second book. So it's just hard for me to give this a 5-star because while the story is stellar and all of that, it just isn't a 5-star. And that is why it hasn't been brought up as much, but I can say that every book on this list is one that I really enjoyed and would recommend to anyone, which is essentially why I made this video to begin with. I felt like I wasn't giving these books their due to little problems such as a less fleshed out world or not even remembering why it wasn't a 5-star to begin with. And so I'm hoping to remedy that a bit now. Hopefully this helps you pick one of them up, and I hope you enjoy them. Also, I don't usually do this, but just because I have such a fantastic mug here, if you got to the end of this video, go ahead and leave a rainbow and a dragon. I cannot claim this mug. This is 100% my brother's mug, and it is 1000% fantastic. So go ahead and leave that dragon and rainbow down there if you got to the end. If not, enjoy the bloopers. And again, I hope you enjoy the sun or more stars wherever you are. And until next time, bye! It is the Fairy Loot Illuma Crate. What are you? I don't know what I get. It must be Fairy Loot. This is too gorgeous to be anything else. Fairy Loot edition. It does say. I'm just dumb. I wish you could see all the cats that are stacked next to me. They're not my cats, but they are cats, and there's just like stepping stones of cats. Whew. It's too hot. I was wearing the jacket. It looked cool, but it's too hot.